This is the Sick'em Podcast. The Sick'em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, here are your hosts, Brooke Bednarz and the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sick'em Podcast, a production of Baylor Athletics. We're glad you're with us this week. John Morris, Brooke Bednarz together again, and we welcome in Jay Goble, Baylor women's golf coach, in his 10th season as head coach here at Baylor. Jay looking like he just stepped off the course as he steps in here with us. Nice attire,
Thank you,
Jay,
Thank
and
you.
we
Thanks
appreciate your time. Yeah, thanks very much.
Glad to be here.
This is it's an exciting time of year, isn't it? I mean, we'll find out today. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, we'll find out later today the regional assignments. Almost assuredly, you're going to be in, but you'll find out where you start on that NCAA path today.
Correct. Yeah, we find out at 1 o'clock. There is, we've heard that they're going to try to stick to our geographical area, which would mean we would go to LSU, but there's a lot of great teams in the South, as we've talked about, and Louisville is definitely an option. And I think, honestly, at this point, we could really go anywhere.
The other two options being Stanford and Columbus, Ohio. You've kind of been up until this point in not a dead period, but you guys competed, and then you had like a week or so to prepare, waiting for this NCAA regional announcement. How has this week or so been preparing for this next step? Well,
we different than a lot of teams, actually, with the ACC and the Pac-12 not playing in the fall. We've actually played a ton of golf this year. So we've played 11 tournaments already, which is already a full season. I mean, that's typically how many we play the whole year. So we've had a very busy season. Obviously, Big 12s was just a week ago, and we played really well there. I mean, we shot a score that would have won every other Big 12 championship except for that one.
Wow.
So we played great down in Houston, but I've actually given them a few days off to recharge, kind of get ready for the last push of the season. I know that they're all doing exams and getting ready for their finals and stuff like that. So I did actually give them 5 days in a row off. I know that they didn't take them off, but they're really motivated, and we know how good we are. I was looking kind of through our stats yesterday, and our team scoring average for the year is 3 under par per round, which is, I mean, it's got to be 5 or 6 shots better than any team I've ever coached.
Yeah.
I mean, we shoot some low numbers. We can go out and make birdies. The really cool thing that I see with our team too is the depth. Our number 5 player can go out there and shoot 67 just as easily as our number 1 player can go out and do that, which is, as a coach, is really cool to see.
How do you've had some time off, you gave them some time off, and now finals are about to begin. Is today's Wednesday or tomorrow maybe the last day of classes for the spring semester, and then finals begin? How do you navigate that with finals, and then the NCAA is coming up next week?
Sure. Yeah, this isn't our first rodeo when going through this. We typically deal with finals being the same time of the year as our biggest tournament of the year, regionals.
Right.
That is not great scheduling. That is tough on a student athlete.
Student athlete.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky as well with our team is they're all great students. They all do really well in school. They all, to be a good golfer, to be a good student athlete in general, you have to be a master planner. And I think that they do a really good job of planning their time. We're going to play every day, but we'll play maybe a little less, and if some of them have an exam or something that they need to study for or a project, I'm usually pretty lenient when it comes to all that, because I know in their spare time or when they have time, they're going to work harder on their game.
I want to take a second. I have a friend who works in facilities, and when we had that crazy snow and ice storm, no one was really driving on the roads, and my friend had to come in to check on some facilities here up at Baylor, and, they told me that while they were driving very cautiously, only one really on the road, that they saw a female golfer with her bag over her shoulder making the trek from her apartments all the way to the golf facility. Walking in the snow because she knew she could.
I love to hear that.
That's a great
because
story.
she could work in the facility and be indoors. And so when you say you gave them 5 days off, but they probably didn't take it, I'm like, I believe that. So all the credit to, your golfers and your athletes, but they are really pouring into this team, into each other, into their game, and you have to feel good hearing a story like that. I don't know if you already knew that story, but that's stuck with me, and I've waited till we had this podcast to get to throw it out there, because whoever she was deserves all the credit. That that's the extra step that it takes to be a D1 athlete.
No, for sure, and that's again the great thing that we have going on right now with this team is I don't have to worry about it too much. I mean, obviously we have our NCAA limitations as far as how many hours a week we can practice, but I mean, I pretty much know that they're practicing double that on their own, and it's a great thing when you have them. They're motivated to be great at school. They're motivated to be great at golf, and that doesn't surprise me. It actually is good to hear.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were at the women's tennis match, and I saw a few of my players, and I know it was a beautiful day outside, and I know as soon as the match was over, they were going to go to practice. So they were, they're always working on their game because it's a competitive team, and we still have some unfinished business for the rest of the year. So I think they're all getting after it.
Walk us through, we do research and we've been following you guys all year, but for some of the podcast people who are listening and maybe don't know the roster of your group, who is that core five? Who are some of those others that are right on the edge of that? Kind of explain to everybody listening, who those athletes are and just what they have been able to accomplish so far this year.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I could sit here and all day and say great things
as
about
a good
them.
coach.
Yeah. But we've accomplished a lot this year. I mean, we won 6 of 9 regular season events, 5 of them in a row. 4 was the record for the Big 12. So not only did we win 4 in a row, but we won 5 in a row, which was pretty amazing to start off the year with. We've pretty much consistently had the same 5 players in the lineup the entire year. It starts with Gerline Kaur, who is in her 4th year. I don't know how to actually classify now.
Well,
with COVID
COVID is that's a whole mess.
But she's in her 4th year. She has the lowest scoring average in career scoring average in Baylor history. It's under par. It's like 71.83 for her career at Baylor. She played in the Augusta National Women's Am this year, which is the top 60 players in the world, which is amazing. Elodie Chapelet is this is her 6th year in college. She played a couple years at Lamar, and then she was going to do her graduate degree here. Actually finished a couple days ago, her graduate degree here. So she's playing for us. She's been super consistent throughout her 2 years, was an All-American last year, is really getting her game in shape for the postseason right now. She finished with 2 rounds under par at Big 12s last week. So she's playing very well for us. I would say probably playing 2 or 3 for us is Britta Snyder. Britta, we got her out of Big 12 country, Ames, Iowa. Both of her parents played college golf, so they kind of understand the whole deal, and they've been probably our biggest fans throughout the year. They've actually traveled, I believe, to every tournament we played in to watch Britta play, and she I've never had a player on my team that can go out and make as many birdies as Britta Snyder can. She can get on a roll and just go out and roll out 3, 4, 5 birdies in a row. And again, she's playing actually in the USGA 4-ball right now up in Merido, up in North Texas, and she loves to compete. She is the ultimate competitor when it comes to golf. Rosie Belsham she's also a freshman from Whitley Bay, England, which is almost Scotland, which is what we kind of joke with her about, because she has a very Scottish accent when she says some things. Mm-hmm. It's really funny, like hook I hit a hook.
Hook.
Yeah, I'm like, you mean a hook? But
She's like, Coach.
she is an absolute spitfire, and I mean, she can also go out and make tons of birdies. Can go out and she kills the golf ball. I mean, she hits it super far, and she's actually made a ton of eagles this year. Which, I was telling my dad the other day, I was like, I didn't see an eagle for like 5 years, and then this year I see one or two every tournament,
wow.
which is cool to see because there's not really a par 5 that she can't get on into. So she has a couple chances at eagle almost every tournament we play.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And then, I would say last but not least, Hannah Karg, who is, Hannah has played awesome. I mean, she's been up and down a little bit, but, for her to come in, she's also technically a freshman. She won a professional event in December in the off season. I mean, I've never had a player in the off season go and win a pro event. I mean, she went down to Houston and played against a bunch of players that play for a living and beat them all.
Wow.
Which is cool. And then her first tournament back in the spring, we play up at Trinity Forest in SMU's event. And she made about a 35-footer on the last hole to win that.
Wow.
Jeez.
And funny story with her there is, she had 3-putted her 53rd hole of the tournament. And when I looked on my phone at GolfStat, it had said that she had fell one behind. And I don't usually look at my phone, and we don't really talk about scores while we're out there. But we knew it was the last hole. We knew that she was in contention. She looked at me, and, she's got a very dry sense of humor. And she just asked me, where do I stand? Like very,
she wanted to know.
Yeah. And I was like, actually, Hannah, that 3-putt, you're one behind right now going into the last hole. And she looks at me dead straight face and says, it's okay. I've already won a professional event.
Whoa. Man.
But
confidence.
But saying that, then she goes up and she hits it where you really can't hit it off the tee. Hits a miraculous shot to get it to 35 feet and then makes the 35-footer. And then we come in and find out that GolfStat is wrong.
Oh.
And she actually had won by one.
Oh, wow.
So that's
just lit a little fire under her,
I've already won a professional event. Don't worry. But yeah, she also she has the strongest mental game when it comes to, she can hit it all over the place and still find a way to shoot even par, find a way to, have a tough day, tee to green, and still shoot a good score that means something for us, which those are the kind of players as a coach you really love to have. It's like, you can't, it doesn't look so good. You don't really know what's going on. And it's almost like every time she hands me her scorecard, it's better than I thought it would be.
Wow. Because
she just goes and guts out scores and, fights till the very end and brings me a scorecard that helps us, which is cool.
Let's clarify one thing for people who might not know, because obviously when they're competing in those professional events, they have to stay as amateur status.
Correct.
So she wasn't doing anything, to ruin her college experience, but she still did defeat all of them, which is super exciting and something to be celebrated.
Yeah, she did not collect the first place check.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? She can win it.
She can win it. She just cannot receive the money.
She did not take the money.
It goes to Jay.
We've run all this through compliance.
If only.
Oh, yeah.
So
no, that's a very good point to make.
Just wanted to, if anyone was listening and worried about that, it is all is good.
And that's pretty typical in men's and women's golf, is every once in a while the players will play in a pro event. And again, it's a measuring stick. It's like, what do I need to do to play for a living someday? Where do I need to improve my game? What do I need to do to get to that next level? And for her, she ended up staying here over the Christmas break because of COVID and, travel restrictions and everything back home in Germany. And again, she took full advantage of being able to practice here, the nice weather, and then finding a competitive environment to go work on her game. And, I applaud her for that. That was pretty awesome.
Well, and one other thing, when we're listening to you describe this kind of core five that's been extremely successful this year, a word that kept popping up was freshman.
Yeah.
You got to feel pretty darn good to have this amount of success in this year alone. I think this 6 tournament titles and 4 individual titles alone this year, to go along with, while we're throwing out numbers here, to go along with the 11 team tournament championships and 12 individual titles that you have had in your first 9 seasons here. So you take those numbers, add 6, add 4 individual, and know that this group of girls, a large majority of them are freshmen, will be here for the next few years that you get to continue to coach. You got to be feeling pretty good about it.
I'm extremely happy about the ability to bring them in here and that they chose Baylor and chose our program to come play. I think the future is very bright with the core group we have. Lucky to have Gerline for one more year, but, again, we're going to have Britta, Rosie, and Hannah for 3 more years. I was looking also at our stats the other day. I mean, I've never had a team, and we've talked about the depth in our team, but the top 7 players in my lineup in tournaments all have scoring averages 72.5 or better.
Wow.
Which is like, can't ask for anything better.
Sure, yeah.
In 2015, when we were, basically one shot away from winning the national championship, our 5-player hardly counted for us the whole year.
Wow.
And our low 4 were significantly better scoring average wise than our 5. And this year, like we've talked about already, is Hannah Karg, who goes out and plays 5 for us at SMU, wins the golf tournament. Which is it's really cool to see. And we're lucky to have some great players coming in next year. So I think that we're going to continue this. We've got the recruits lined up for the next couple of years that are going to keep us, I believe, in this same position moving forward, that we're going to be competitive every week. Every time we tee it up, we're going to be competitive. So it should be fun.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com for an agent you can trust with life's most important decisions. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Whether on the field or cheering from home, Du Bois Furniture is proud to support the Baylor Bears. If your bear cave needs updating, Du Bois Furniture is here to help. With over 59 years of our family serving yours, let our experienced sales team help you find exactly what you want. We specialize in custom upholstery, stunning dining rooms, elegant bedrooms, gorgeous leather, and top quality mattresses. Come see us in Waco and Temple or visit us online at DuBoisFurniture.com. Du Bois Furniture, where beautiful homes happen.
You're listening to the Sick'em Podcast. Here again are Brooke Bednarz and John Morris.
Visiting with Jay Goble, Baylor women's golf coach, on our Sick'em Podcast, a production of Baylor Athletics. Let's go back to the Big 12s. And is that a good thing in your mind when I say let's go back there, or that last round you ended up finishing 1 stroke behind Texas Tech? They kind of caught you right at the finish line, but overall you finished 3rd in the Big 12s, which is very good.
Yeah, David Kay told me the other day that in my 9 Big 12 championships, we finished top 3 7 times.
Wow.
And before I got here, they'd only done it once.
Wow.
So, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that again, we're competitive every time we go out there. I think the hard pill to swallow is that we shot a score that would have won every other Big 12 championship except for this one.
It's amazing.
We shot, I think, 283, 282 or something. I mean, we're shooting under par. We're shooting good scores. We're playing good golf on a hard golf course. We just ran into the buzzsaw, and, Oklahoma State, who has again, a top 5 team in the country, Oklahoma State right now. They were on their game. They were playing super aggressive, and it was paying off. Like in golf, it's not always great to play aggressive. like it can come back and bite you. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing to watch them like take driver on every hole, like go for every shot, go for every pin, and they were making it happen.
And
they were making birdies. And, you know, I think that I can live with the fact that it was their week. Like, you know, we didn't go out and lose the golf tournament. They went out and won it. I can live with that fact. I think that, again, if you look at our last two tournaments, we were 38 under par and 17 under par or something like that. We're playing good golf. We're playing great golf. And, you know, I'm excited to find out later on today where we go for regionals. And I think that, you know, some teams are going to be pretty upset to see that Baylor Bears are in their field, because we can go out and play with the best teams in the country at any given point.
Do I remember right? Did Gerling shoot a 66 on the first round in Houston?
That was in the Houston event, yes.
Oh, that was the Houston. That wasn't the Big 12.
Correct.
Then. Okay, so that was going back the week before.
But that was, well, let's do that, because let's talk about, she had a impressive round. That was the 6th tournament title of the season, the Lone Star Invitational, and she led the tournament with 19 birdies, 3 more than any other golfer. She made 8 birdies in the final round, including 6 straight between the 3rd and the 8th holes.
That's a stretch.
If someone handed me a scorecard and it had that on it, I'd be like, what? That's amazing.
She, you know, she gets mad at me when I say this, but she really does. As the season progresses, the weather warms up, so does her game. I mean, she hates it when I say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
wrong with that?
She played great at the Houston event. Yes, she did have a poor round, the middle round, but, you know, she made a ton of birdies. She was, you know, in my opinion, she's getting her game ready for the last run of the season. And then at Big 12 Championship, she played awesome. I know that she was disappointed in the final round. She double bogeyed the 13th hole, but then she comes back and birdies 3 of the last 5 to again post another great number and a great finish in the Big 12. So she is something really special, and I always get excited with this time of year with her, because I know she's going to bring it.
Well, and while we're talking about the Lone Star Invitational, you guys won with a 33-stroke victory. You know, just a small margin of victory there. But you guys set a school record, breaking your own school record set earlier this year, with just a 54-hole total of 38 under, which was 826. That was 7 better than the record you guys set at the beginning of the season. Right. So, I mean, to have your girls be breaking their own records and setting school history twice in 1 year, you know, what is their excitement like? Are they aware of that? Or is that something you're talking about? Or is it just, you know, kind of add it to the books and keep on going?
I think we kind of add it to the books and keep on going, because, and I know that sounds a little bit strange, but they know they're that good. They work hard. They practice hard to be that good. It's not to say that they expect it, but in a way they do. I mean, I think they expect to go out there and make 6 or 8 birdies around and shoot 5, 6, 7 under par. And that's something that, as a coach, like, you never want to take away from them. You want to continue to push them to believe that. And I don't, like, we shot 265 in the first round of that tournament, which was our lowest team round by 7 or 8 shots, like ever. You know, so I don't want to make a super big deal out of that, because it is an amazing feat. Like, it's really unbelievable to go out and shoot, you know, 23 under par in 1 round. But again, if they believe they can do that, and they believe that they can do that again, you know, I don't
make it the norm.
Yeah, well,
don't celebrate it like it's crazy.
It's definitely not the norm, but yeah, like, I want them to continue to believe that that's something possible, because you've done it already. You've done it before. I mean, I think we've talked about stats, and stats are unbelievable for this year. I think we're also seeing in the last 3, 4, 5 years a big change in women's college golf. I know that when I started at University of Florida, Our best player my first year at Florida averaged 74.5 for the year, and to see now, again, I have 7 players that are averaging 72.5 or better in college events. I mean, the parity in women's golf has changed so much in the last 10 to 12 to 15 years to where, they come in almost good enough to play professional golf already. And this is a 3, 4, 5 year period of their life where they're, every girl in my lineup right now, they're trying to play professional golf for a living, and they're trying to use these experiences as a springboard for that. So, yeah, it's crazy, but they really do expect to go out and shoot 6, 8, 10 under for a tournament. Like, that's what they're going to have to do for their, for their livelihood at some point, and they're trying to do it every week we go out there.
Is it difficult to recruit against turning pro? Knowing that those golfers, you just said they're coming in and they could be competitive there. So are you, you get to sell them a great education at Baylor and,
sure,
that those experiences that they wouldn't have already had. But is that a difficult conversation to even navigate sometimes?
I have not experienced having someone come in who was trying to turn pro early. I think early on in the recruiting process, I try to explain to them that I really want the 4-year student athlete. I think that this is the greatest point of their life to where they can go from being a kid essentially into an adult, and have somebody like me and my associate head coach, Carly, do everything for them to get them kind of prepared for what life after college is like. And, there's special occasions where somebody might be ready when they're 18 years old, but I would say that, those phenoms are not always out there. Mm-hmm. And I think that, yes, I do have a lot of players that can play golf for a living. I think that they're taking advantage of these, like I said, 3, 4, 5 years to not only mature their game, but mature as people and get ready for that. It's a lonely world out there playing professional golf. And I think that they really do have it very well with us because, hey, we set up the flights and we set up the hotel and we set up the practice round and we help them go through their strategy on how to play the golf tournament. And, when they get out on the LPGA Tour, it's them against the world. Mm-hmm. So I believe that, we're turning Baylor into a destination that will prepare these players for the next part of their career, for the next part of their game.
It's a calling that's kept us free. It's a place to belong. What's the calling? It's doing a job that makes a difference. Serving your community and your country. It's part-time service where the impact is full-time. What's your calling? Air Force Reserve. AFReserve.com.
If you need a trailer, Flat Rock Trailers has got you covered. From light-duty single-axle utility trailers to the Big Tex tandem duals. We also carry a full line of enclosed cargo trailers. Need a motorcycle trailer? We've got them. Need a dump trailer? We've got the largest selection in the state. Oilfield trailers? We carry a full line of Big Tex trailers to handle all your needs. Trailer repairs? We repair all makes and models. We'll even rent you a trailer if you need to use one for a day. Flat Rock Trailers, your #1 source for all your trailer needs. Find us at flatrocktrailers.com.
T&G can, and here's why. To say my wife and I have a lot to clean is an understatement. So we go to T&G Chemical, where the pros know what cleaning solutions to use and give us detailed instructions on exactly how to use them. We never got that kind of advice from any other stores. And the prices at T&G are great. From general household cleaners to odor control solutions for our pets. We go to T&G Chemical and Supply. That's why.
T&G Chemical and Supply. That's why.
This is the Sikkim Podcast. Here again are Brooke Bednarz and John Morris.
Jay Goble, our guest, Baylor women's golf coach on this week's Sikkim Podcast. You mentioned something that really got my attention about just the level of play collegiately. And here, yes, but collegiately in women's golf. What do you attribute that to? I mean, what is it that has really raised that level of collegiate women's golf?
I think there's a lot of things that go into that. I think one of the big things is the Olympics. I think that that's something that's elevated our game. I think that, with countries now able to pour into their young female athletes that could have an opportunity to go play in the Olympics. I think that that's been a big deal. I think overall training, whether it's technique-wise in the golf swing and physical training, is totally different now than it was 15 years ago. And, every one of us teams, we all have TrackMans, which, will essentially tell us how far every single shot goes, how much it's spinning right or left. We didn't have those things 15 years ago. Everything was kind of trial and error, and you had to be able to kind of see it with your eye and figure out what they were doing. We essentially have an MRI machine that we can sit behind our players and tell us exactly what they're doing or what they're not doing correctly. And then they're just better trained athletes. I think that they have, really good strength coaches out there now. They come to us already. Rosie Belsham, very strong, very, all of her workouts are centered around golf and around her golf swing. We didn't have that kind of stuff 15 years ago when I got into it. It was, working out and being a great athlete was almost an afterthought. It was you need to putt better, or you need to have a better short game to be a good player in college golf. And now it's they literally show up on campus almost a more complete package. And again, they're not very far away from playing golf for a living. It was amazing to me to see, again, Oklahoma State in our Big 12 championship shoots 34 under par. I know in the SEC championship for 3 rounds, LSU shot 46 under par.
Wow.
Which you're these scores, again, go back 5 years ago. The winning score at the SEC championship was probably 10 under par.
Yeah.
Now it's
46 under par. And I think South Carolina was second at 38 under par.
Good grief.
So it was, again, you just have the more complete golfer showing up on campus now. And as coaches, you need to be ready for that. We need to try to give them every opportunity to continue to improve their game while they're here. And that's what we're trying to do here at Baylor.
I'm very interested to hear how you got into golf. Before we started this podcast, we were talking about how it's never too late to get into golf. But obviously, the female athletes that we're talking about today, they didn't just pick it up right before they went to college. No. They've been doing this for years and years and years. And so I would like to hear your story, how you got into golf, and did you aspire to become a women's golf coach? And, how'd you get here?
Well, so my dad is a big golfer, has always been a big golfer, and he bought me a set of clubs, I think, when I was 6 years old, and they just sat in our garage, and never got hit.
Yeah.
Because I was like most kids from my age and my generation that, we all played football during the fall, and we played basketball in the winter, and we played baseball in the spring, and then in the summer, we swam or played tennis or something. Golf was so far out of the realm.
Not in the conversation.
Yeah, I didn't want to play golf. And it was kind of strange. I was 14 years old, so right before my freshman year in high school, and I was literally bored one summer day, and I went out and played golf with my dad. He was like, let's just go and we'll play 18 holes and keep your score no matter what it is and see how you do. And it was funny, I had never played a full round of golf. I'd played, maybe a hole or two. And the first round of golf, I shot 122, and I had 2 pars in a row. And my dad was like, you're not terrible at this. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of fun today. It was a nice day in North Carolina. And, I was like, yeah, that's kind of fun. I'll go back. And I did have some friends at that time. Some of my friends were getting interested in golf. Mm-hmm. So I did have some buddies, and I was like, hey, can I join you guys tomorrow? So I literally played the next day after that first round with my dad, and I shot 90.
Oh.
And
126 to 90?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad's like, you shot 90 today? And I was like, yeah, I had like 5 pars
It's like,
today.
did you count it right?
And from that day forward, like the golf bug bit me, and I played, I tell people this as kind of a joke, but it's really very true, is I played every day for 10 straight years after that.
Wow.
Like I played 18 holes of golf every single day for 10 years after that point.
How about that?
At least 18 holes.
Right.
And, it was by the time my freshman year golf season came around, which we played in the spring in North Carolina, I was a scratch golfer in 1 year. Like I was shooting even par, couple over par every time I played. But, I got the amount of experience in 1 year that some people don't get in 10 years. I played 360 rounds of golf in 1 year. So I got, really, really good fast. And by the time, I got to be a senior in high school, I was being recruited to play college golf. And I went and played, funny enough, a year at Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And it was very good. Not so good for my golf game because there were a lot of distractions that pulled me away from golf. And I ended up transferring back home and moving back in with my parents my sophomore year, and I played at UNC Charlotte and played there for, my last 3 years in college, and it was life-changing for me. And I think the reason that I love coaching so much and got into coaching was how great my experience was there, being on a team, working on my game with my friends and my peers. It was funny enough, I had 3 coaches while I was at UNC Charlotte. So I think in my coaching, I learned a lot of what I didn't want to do as a coach and how I could be better. But to actually get to the point where I'm coaching a women's golf team, that was not really in my, mind ever until I actually got into it. But I was teaching, I spent 7 years at David Ledbetter Golf Academy in Florida. It's called IMG Academy now in Bradenton. And I spent a lot of time there. And it was funny, like by chance, I started working with a lot of young females that were really good at golf. And all those players that I started working with when they were like 12, 13, 14 years old, they all started getting recruited very early to go play college golf. And I guess I was seen as a big part of their success. And then in 2008, I started being recruited to be an assistant coach. I had the choice between Wake Forest and University of Florida, which we were already living in Florida. And, it was funny when I went up on my interview there, like it was not an interview. It was like, what can we do to
How do we get you to pick us?
How do we get you to accept this job? Because there were 2 players that I was working with at IMG that were being really highly recruited by Florida. And, my wife went to University of Florida, so we were already kind of into the whole Gator deal anyway. And I accepted the job pretty quickly, and it was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. College athletics had transitioned a lot from the 10 years I was away. But yeah, I think I've ended up being pretty good at it, and it's been a 13-year process now to learn how to coach. But yeah, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and very lucky that Baylor gave a young guy that didn't have head coaching experience the opportunity to come here in 2011. And yeah, it's amazing. It's been 10 years already, but yeah.
Well, I think it paid off.
Yeah.
Looking at all this success that the program has had since you've come, I think they made the right decision and seeing the potential in you as a head coach. So
it was a shot in the dark, I would say, 10 years ago. But I would say that any pressure I had was all internal. Like I think that they've been really great about letting me learn and letting me kind of do my own thing here. And yeah, it's worked out really well.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to insure your home for Texas-size weather. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
You're listening to the Sick'em Podcast, a production of Baylor Athletics. Here again are Brooke Bednarz and John Morris.
Our guest is Jay Goble on the Sick'em Podcast. We invite you to subscribe, download wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify. It's on the Baylor website at BaylorBears.com. Get a new edition of the Sick'em Podcast each week here as we continue through the spring. Jay, it's a fascinating story of how you started golf and never quit, very successful playing, and then now coaching. Who has been major influences on you in either your playing days or your coaching days?
Definitely my dad is number one. I know you probably hear that a lot, but that's my dad. Without him, I would have never started golf. But my parents they actually surprised me at the Big 12 championship. I walked up on the 18th tee, and my parents actually have not been to a college event since concession in 15.
Wow.
And I walked up on the 18th tee on the first round, and they were standing on the tee waiting to watch the team. But my parents, they're glued to golf stat every day that we're playing, and my mom and dad were both huge into me playing golf, but professionally, I would say that Dan Brooks, the head golf coach, women's golf coach at Duke, super successful. I think they've won 7 national championships. He's been a huge mentor and a huge driving factor in my coaching career. But those are probably the two guys that I look up to the most when it comes to golf, and in my playing days and in my coaching, those are the two guys that I love to talk to and chat about golf. And you can ask anybody that knows me well. There's nobody more addicted to golf than me. Like, my team totally makes fun of me because I don't take a day off. Yeah. Like, if we're not having practice, like I played all weekend this weekend. Like, I can't get enough.
Yeah.
And painted. He told me he also
painted a little.
Which I mistook as actual, like, a portrait. He said, no, like painting the house.
Yeah, I was like painting the fireplace.
But you mentioned your parents. You mentioned family. You did tell us that your wife, Jamie, that's how you say that, correct? Mm-hmm. Jamie, went to Florida.
Yes.
So how's she like in Texas? And you guys have been here, and now you have a son, Gannon. How old is he?
Gannon is about to turn 10 next month, and he was 6 weeks old when I got the job.
Wow.
When we moved to Waco. And they love it. I mean, my wife works at Community Bank and Trust as a trust officer here in town.
Shout out David Lacey.
Who's
hit a few golf balls himself.
He has. Right? He's hit a few. And actually David was the one that I was playing golf with him, and he was asking me about Jamie, and kind of how that all worked out.
Oh, that's great.
Crazy business on the golf
there
course.
You go.
Who would have thought?
And then my son Gannon, he loves it here. He thinks Waco, Texas is the center of the universe. He doesn't really know anything else.
That's great.
But he's got a great little school he goes to here and a great group of friends, and so he's also very happy to be in Waco.
So my follow-up question is there a set of golf clubs that are sitting unused for Gannon, and have we had that day yet where he decides to go play golf with Dad and shocks you with an 85 instead of a 90?
Gannon has a really great golf swing. It was funny. I took him out to Cottonwood Creek the other day, and the Midway golf coach, who is a friend of mine, was out there, and I was like, hey, do you mind just like talking to my son a little bit, trying to get him interested? And they sat on the driving range, had like a 30-minute conversation, and I took some pictures. It was really cute. Like he's helping him with his backswing and stuff like that. Gannon loves to play golf. He doesn't like anything to do with like practicing, which is kind of like how I am as well. I would prefer to just go straight to the first tee and play golf. He loves to play and to compete, but he does not like to do any of the things that people would say would help him get better, like actually practice his golf swing or putt or something like that. I am secretly holding, some hope that when he turns 14, he might start to love it like me. But he's a typical 9-year-old kid. Like he likes to play a bunch of sports with his friends, but he likes video games. He's very smart. I think that being around golf at some point it'll hit him.
It'll rub off.
Yeah, and he does. He has a really naturally good golf swing. So I try to tell him, I'm like, hey, dude, it's in your blood, man.
Exactly.
You're a good golfer.
We can go to the golfing range and we can just show him my swing and be like, hey, you look a lot better than that. You should do this.
I'm hoping and praying that someday, yes, he will come and tell me how bad he wants to play golf.
Is Jamie a golfer?
Jamie does not play.
Okay.
She loves to go out there and ride around with me, and she's probably rode around a couple hundred rounds of golf. But yeah, she loves to be around golf, and we're neither one of us are the pushy parents like, hey, you got to play golf. But secretly, yes, I would love for him to.
Fingers are crossed.
Fingers are crossed, and I keep telling myself that again. I didn't want to play golf when I was his age either, and once the golf bug bit me, it really bit me.
So you better be ready for 360 rounds with him in a year.
No, listen, nobody's more ready than me. I promise you.
Well, good luck in the NCAAs. We're looking forward to that. And find out today, again, if you're listening to us on Wednesday, find out today your destination, May 10th through the 12th at one of 4 regional sites. The championship, May 21st through the 26th at Greyhawk Golf Club in Scottsdale, Arizona. Been there? He's played there?
Yeah, we took the team out there about a month ago.
Yeah.
We played 2 events, actually, in Arizona. Yeah. And in between, we went out to Greyhawk, which was it was interesting. It was raining and cold the day we were out there.
Really? In Scottsdale.
Which I'm sure,
not Arizona weather.
Which I'm sure it will not be in May.
No, not at all. Well, good luck, and thanks for your time. It's great to visit with you.
Thanks. Great to visit with y'all. Thanks for having me.
Jay Goble, our guest, Baylor women's golf coach on this week's Sikkim podcast. For Coach Goble, for Brooke Bednarz, I'm John Morris. Thanks for joining us, and we invite you to join us again next week for our next Sikkim podcast.
You've been listening to the Sikkim Podcast. The Sikkim Podcast has been a production of Baylor Athletics.